Have you ever seen your father cry? I hadn't. And I didn't think I ever would. Until that night. I grew up in an ordinary family like so many others. Not too rich, not too poor. Everything always seemed to be enough. Peaceful, gentle, without too much turbulence. And in that stability, my father was the one who kept the rhythm. He wasn't the kind of man who showed emotions. No hugs, no sweet words, never once showing fatigue or weakness. My father was like a shield, quiet, steady, always present when the family needed him. I can't remember how many times he silently fixed the leaking faucet in the middle of the night. Or how often he came home late from work and still quietly placed my dinner in the microwave. Those little things I used to take for granted. Now I realize that was how he loved, without ever saying it aloud. Throughout my childhood, I never once saw him angry. Never once saw him cry. To me, he was like a block of stone, resolute, unshaken, invulnerable. Until one night, when I walked past his room, and everything I had believed about my father began to crumble. I heard something I'll never forget. A sound that, even now, I'm not sure I'm ready to face. That night, as I was passing by his room, I suddenly stopped. Not because of a loud noise. Not because someone called me. It was just, his voice sounded off. My father was on the phone. His voice was low and slow, as if trying hard to stay calm. But there was something fractured in every word. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I really didn't. But as I walked by, I suddenly heard a choked sound. Then silence. Then, a trembling breath, as if someone was trying to hold back tears and couldn't. I froze. And then, he started crying. Not the kind of crying that bursts out in sobs. Not loud. Not dramatic. It was the kind of crying that erupts from someone who's held the pain in for too long and can't anymore. An older man, once strong and stoic, now sobbing behind a closed door. That was my father. I stood motionless, my back pressed against the hallway wall. In the dark, I heard his whispers, each word cutting deep. I don't know how much longer I can pretend I'm okay. I'm tired. I feel like I'm failing. I don't want the kids to see me like this. I didn't know who he was talking to. A friend. A brother. Someone close enough for him to let go of his strength. All I knew was, for the first time in my life, I saw a different side of my father. A side he had probably spent his whole life hiding. I stood there for a long time. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe deeply. I just knew I couldn't walk away. A part of me whispered, "You shouldn't be listening. This is his private moment." But another part, the softer part I'd never known existed, just wanted to stay there, to hear it all. As if, for the first time, I was truly listening to my father. I had always thought of him as invincible. The one who carried everything. The one who didn't get tired, didn't get sad, didn't need anyone to worry about him. But in that moment, everything shattered. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him again. Head bowed, hand covering his face, voice choked with emotion. I kept asking myself, how many times has he cried like this without me knowing? How much weight has he been carrying that none of us ever noticed? The next morning, my father appeared as usual. Composed. Neat. Quietly brewing his coffee, sitting down for breakfast, reading the newspaper. No one, not even my mother, noticed anything different. But I just sat there, across from him at the table, spoon in hand, unable to take a bite. I looked at him, trying to find the slightest crack in his expression, any sign that last night was real. But there was nothing. He was the same old father, silent and steadfast. Only I had changed. And from that morning on, in my eyes, my father was no longer invincible. He was a human being, capable of love, capable of pain, and capable of breaking down. I carried the image of that night with me throughout the day. Every time I saw him walk by, holding his keys, reminding Mom to take her medicine, cleaning up after dinner, My throat tightened. I knew I had to say something. Ask. Share. But I didn't dare. I was afraid that if I brought it up, he'd feel ashamed. Afraid that I'd make him feel exposed, as if I'd trespassed into the last quiet space he had left. But more than anything, I was afraid he'd say, "It's nothing. I'm fine." Because I knew that would be a lie. And this time, I was no longer naive enough to believe it. Some people grow up with parents who openly show their emotions. But I didn't. In my family, love was quiet. It was the way we looked at each other during dinner. It was fixing a broken light bulb without anyone asking. It was staying up late, waiting for your child to come home, without ever asking where they'd been. And that very silence. Now it's suffocating me. I feel guilty for eavesdropping. I feel heartbroken knowing my father has been hiding his exhaustion. And I feel angry, not at him but at myself, for never asking him, "Are you okay, Dad?" I've started to realize something. Sometimes, the strongest people are the loneliest ones. Because they always think they have to carry everything. Because they always believe no one is perceptive enough to notice they, too, need someone to hold them. Since that night, I still haven't said anything to my father. It's still the same routine questions. Have you eaten, Dad? I boiled some water. Do you need a ride somewhere? I still haven't found the courage to sit down and ask him the one question that matters. Are you really okay? Because I'm afraid. Afraid of facing a father who's no longer invincible in my eyes. Afraid that when he nods, I'll see in his eyes a silent cry for help that I almost missed. But maybe, I'm slowly beginning to understand something. Not everyone needs to be rescued. Sometimes, they just need to be seen. We've grown up seeing our parents as superheroes, the ones who do everything without ever getting tired, complaining, or breaking down. But in truth, they're just people. They have sleepless nights too. They carry things they don't know how to share. And sometimes, they feel like they're failing the very family they try so hard to protect. If you've ever seen your father or mother cry, break down, or simply go quiet in a way that's not like them, then you'll understand how terrifying, and how deeply human that moment really is. I still don't know what I'll say to my father. Maybe I'll just pour him another cup of tea and sit beside him. In silence. But this time, a silence that's present. And maybe, just maybe, that'll be enough for him to know. Dad, I see you. I don't know what to do, but I'll be right here. What about you? Have you ever seen your parents in moments like that? What did you do? Or, are you still carrying it quietly, just like I am?